For today, we're going to start with color schemes and we're going to paint them in our sketchbook. Going off what we learned last week, we learned how to paint our primary colors, our secondary colors, and our tertiary colors, basically a broken down color wheel. Today, we're going to learn about color schemes and how artists can use the colors of the color wheel to create many different color families that work together, known as color schemes. So our first color scheme we'll be working with today are our warm and cool colors. There are 6 of each. Instead of painting all 12 colors again, we will be taking 3 from the warm section and 3 from the cool section to identify our warm and cool color schemes. So we'll be drawing 3 boxes for each one and only coloring or painting 6 total, giving us 3 warm and 3 cool, okay? And then the next color scheme that we'll be painting today is analogous color scheme. I wanted to review with you before we start painting the definition of what analogous colors are, making sure that you understand that they are next to each other. Super important that they are next to each other, touching colors. They are not separated by 1, 2, or 3 colors. They are next to each other on the color wheel, and they must include at least 1 tertiary color. So an example would be red, orange, and orange together are one example, but there are several examples on the color wheel of analogous color sets that we can use. And we will be choosing 3 to paint today. After the analogous color scheme that we'll practice, we will go into our complementary color sets. As you can see, from the 12 colors on the color wheel, we get 12 color sets. Basically 6 total because in each set there are 2, right? So we've got 2 in a complementary color set. We will paint 2 of the 2 complementary color sets, the red and the green, the blue and the orange, and then we will use the yellow and the violet on Thursday. Our last color scheme that we'll be working with is monochromatic. We will definitely be working on our monochromatic color scheme on Thursday, where we learn how to create tints, which are the white colors added to our color. So we have white added to our color, as well as our shades, which are our black color, which is our black added to our colors, giving us white and black, lights and darks, values of the color, tints and shades. So again, new vocabulary: tints, color plus white, shades, color plus black, and we'll create a monochromatic value scale using 1 color, as well as learning about tone and different values, which again is one of the properties of color. We are going to do these color schemes today: warm, cool, analogous, and complementary. So go ahead and find yourself on a new page, and we're going to title it Color Schemes. And like you just saw the example, we're going to start with warm colors. We're going to, for sake of time, only do 3, a set of 3. However, we do know that there are 6 total. But we will just, again, for sake of time, get the gist of it, that the warm colors, we can show these 3, and we'll understand which group warm colors fall in. We're going to put our red, our orange, and our yellow in these boxes. This orange may end up being red orange or yellow orange, depending on which orange you choose to create, and you can adjust the title there when needed. Okay, our next one will be our cool colors. And again, we'll be doing 3 boxes. As our setup. So remember, we're doing this as practice to not only learn the color schemes, but also to learn how to mix paint, how to apply paint, how to stay within the lines, how to actually become better painters, as well as understanding color theory as we're going. So our cool colors, as we can see from from earlier today, are going to be green, blue, and violet. So we'll put our green, our blue, and our violet here. We're gonna go ahead with our red, simply from the dish. I'm not putting it on the palette. My brush is clean and dry. There's no other color. Okay, so if I've wet my brush, I make sure I dry it off onto the paper towel. And remember, we only use the tip of the brush. Do not dunk the whole brush in. And we're gonna start with outlining the edges. Remember, I gave you that little tip. Outline your edges first. It helps you stay organized and in the space. Makes life a lot easier. So you can go really slow, get your 90-degree corners. And once you have it framed like this, then you can paint the middle quite quickly and spread everything out and make it look nice. Making sure you have no raised paint, all areas painted, no white peek-throughs, and very opaque coverage. Now, I told you to save your palette last period. So we have this dried palette of paint. If you threw it away, then you're gonna have to start from scratch. If you have it, you'll notice that you have a puddle of dried orange. Take your wet brush and start to massage the palette to lift that paint back to life. If nothing is happening, grab just a little bit of water on the tip of your brush and start to mix that water to bring this orange back to life, lifting the paint from the dried surface of the tinfoil. Again, if you don't have this dried paint that you can recycle, then you're starting with yellow and you're adding your red to create a brand new orange. I use too much water. This becomes like a watercolor see-through color. I don't want that. I want it to be nice and opaque. So if you've used too much water, you're gonna have to add some more paint to the surface. Otherwise, you should be able to recycle this orange into this square. Last period, they asked if it was okay if it was red, orange, or yellow, orange. Yes, it is okay. These are warm colors. Warm colors include red, orange, and yellow orange, and pure hue orange. So whatever orange you end up making, use it. Now, outline your yellow square. Again, if your hand is shaky, then compensate for that. Don't get too close to the edge. Stay within the box. Make sure you don't have too much paint on your brush so it's not oozing all over the place. Do your frame first, just like that. Once you have your frame, then finish the inside of the application. Let's go ahead and start with our cool colors. Our first color is going to be green. If you notice on your dry palette, you should have a leftover green. Now listen very carefully. Yellow green is not a cool color. Yellow green is not a cool color. So you need to make sure that this green is either regular pure hue green or blue green. So wet your brush just a little bit and bring this color back to life. Mix it all together to create a either blue-green or green, not a yellow-green. Cannot be yellow-green. Yellow-green is a warm color. We're in the cool color scheme now. So this must be either regular green or blue-green would work. So I brought my color back to life, and now I'm going to place my green in the first box. So start off by taking your clean, dry brush into the blue. Get just the tip of blue on your brush and start your outline. of your second box in the cool colors. All one color. And if you're going to need to add a second layer, you'll need to do so once it's dry. Clean your brush. Okay, for our next one, we'll be using our leftover dried violet. Again, use your wet brush. Do not use too much water, just slightly wet. And mix up that violet. Bring it back to life. Recycle it. Again, just a little bit of water, not too much. It'll get too transparent, which means see-through. We don't want it to be see-through. We want it to be opaque. This can be red violet or blue violet or violet. Any of those three will work for our cool colors. Make sure when you're done mixing it, you roll your brush to get the paint out. You rinse your brush, dry it, so it's ready for painting, and then use from your palette what you've brought back to life. If you had to recreate your violet because you didn't have a puddle to recycle, you're using red and blue to mix up a violet. Again, it can be violet, red violet, or blue violet for the cool color violet category. Make sure it's not too see-through because you use too much water. If it is, you're going to have to do another layer. Make sure each layer dries in between. I need to put another layer of green on top because it's too light. You can see the paper through. It should be solid, complete application. I also believe that it's too close to yellow-green, so I'm going to go ahead and put a darker green on top, making sure that I have a true cool color set of green, blue, and violet. So I'm going to go ahead and make an opaque, nice green coverage here. We will set up 3 boxes for our analogous color scheme. So just like we've done before, using our ruler as our template. And then just clean up any extra lines that you have from those boxes so they all look uniform and cleaned up and nice to use. I'm going to be doing blue, green, green, yellow, green. Those are going to be my 3 analogous color choices. I'm going to use my recycled color on my foil here on my palette, and I'm going to start by mixing a blue-green. So I've cleaned my brush, dried my brush, and added some blue to the existing green that I had already wet from painting the green square above. Wash my brush, dry my brush, and then grab the paint that I made for my blue-green. Make sure that you don't have too much water in your brush, so that way this is nice and opaque, solid coverage as you paint with your new color of blue-green. Okay? When I finish with my blue-green, I need to do green. So I'm going to rinse my brush, clean it, dry it, and I'm going to need to add a little bit of yellow back into this mixed green and see if I can get just a true green, not yellow green, but a true green. Again, you get to choose which analogous color set you want. Make sure that you're titling it correctly on the bottom. Make sure it is a true analogous color set. If you still don't understand analogous or would like to copy me, that is fine. Go ahead and continue to follow along by creating this color set of blue, green, green, and yellow, green, which is an analogous color scheme because they're next to each other on the color wheel and they share at least one tertiary color. In this case, there are 2 tertiary colors being used. I do have a puddle of yellow-green that is dried over here. So with my wet brush, not dripping wet, but damp, I will start to get my yellow-green. I'll start to get my yellow-green to come to life and be able to use it. If it's not yellow-green enough, then I'll add some yellow to my puddle here. It looks like it's going to be too heavy on the green and not enough yellow. So I'll roll my brush, get all the paint out, clean my brush, rinse it, dry my brush, make sure it's very clean because I am going into one of my pure primary colors. And I want to make sure I don't add any extra color from my brush or water from my brush into that primary color of yellow. Add my yellow to my palette here, mix it up, make sure I got no swirls. It's a solid new color of yellow-green. And I'm ready to paint with it. So if you followed along with me doing the analogous color set of blue, green, green, and yellow-green, you have completed. When you've completed, this is what it should look like. Our next one is complementary. Colors. Our next one is complementary colors, and like we reviewed in the beginning, we looked at there are 2 in a complementary color set, 2 colors in a complementary color set. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 boxes for us. So 4 boxes total, but 2 at a time. 2 at a time. So leave some space between them. Okay, so we'll do 2 boxes here. And we'll do 2 boxes here. Okay, and then we'll leave some space and we'll do 2 boxes over here and 2 boxes over here. So again, when you're done, just clean up those. There are 3 that we will do total. We're actually doing the primary color sets for complementary colors. So we'll be doing red and green and blue and orange. And like I mentioned earlier, we'll be using the yellow and the violet to make an intensity scale on Thursday. So for today's painting time, we will be ending with our red and our green and our blue and our orange at the bottom of our page. So for those that are ready to move forward, go ahead and paint your red. Make sure, again, your brush is clean, color-free, and dry because you are going into a primary color container that must stay pure. Take just a little bit of paint on the tip of your brush and start to paint your outline like we have been doing. Stay in the lines, careful application, nice and slow. Don't rush this because we're at the end. Keep your focus so you end up with a successful painted application. Wash and dry your brush if you're going into one of the primary color containers, which I am. I'm going to take some blue to turn my yellow-green back into a green. So again, my brush is clean and dry before going into a primary color container because there is no contamination going on. And if there is, you're going to wreck your colors. So roll your brush once you have your color. So you just have a little bit on your brush. It's not dripping. And paint your green right next to your red. These colors, when they're next to each other, become very vibrant. They bring out the most color out of each other because they are opposites. It's like putting black and white together. We call that a very high contrast of color saturation. So we use these to show the brightest of the color, and the most vibrant combination that you can use will be your color or your complementary color sets. Outline and then fill in. Once it's outlined, then you can fill it in. Again, don't rush it because we're at the end. Keep it looking nice. Take your time. We still have time. And then last is to finish up with orange. I'm going to rinse my brush, clean it. I still have orange on my palette here that I can use, so I'll be using this orange. It's a true orange. If yours is not a true orange, if it is a yellow orange or red orange, if it is not a true orange, a yellow orange or red orange, adjust it accordingly by adding either more yellow or more red, so it becomes a true orange next to the blue. This cannot be a red orange or a yellow orange. It must be true orange. So make sure that you are using orange next to the blue. So again, these are primary, complementary color sets. We only have done 2 of the 3 that we need to do for complementary. When you're finished, this is what your sketchbook should look like. Completed with 3 warm colors, 3 cool colors, 3 analogous colors of your choice. If you chose to copy me, we have blue-green, green, and yellow-green, and 2 of the 3 primary complementary color sets, red and green, blue and orange. This is what we did today, and you should have it complete in the next couple of minutes. Clean your brush. Make sure your brush is nice and sharp when you're done. So clean it, dry it, and then take your fingers and squeeze it so you got a nice sharp edging on there. There's no spare hairs flinging out anywhere. It's nice and sharp and shaped correctly, and store it somewhere nice where it won't bend or get bent and dry in a weird shape or bristles spread out. Keep your brushes safe and nice so your painting can be more successful. Keep your palette, let these dry just like we did last week. Just let these dry. Keep your palette so we don't have any waste. We can recycle colors, and we can keep our recycled tinfoil to use for next time. So just have this laying flat drying somewhere where a pet or a sibling or somebody won't mistake it for trash or food. Keep it somewhere safe, up high, and drying.